Hello everyone. Welcome to this session, part of Imbibe Live Online, sponsored by Mezcal Centre. I'm Millie Milliken, Deputy Editor at Imbibe UK, and today I'm going to be joined by Alex Claridge, chef owner of The Wilderness in Birmingham, who is going to be talking to us about making his own gin, the trials and tribulations of trying to make it, and any words of wisdom that he might have for other people hoping to do the same. So I'm just going to give Alex a couple of minutes to join. He says he is waiting in the wings, so he shouldn't be too long. You can catch all of the content that we're doing on Imbibe Live Online on our website, on Instagram as well. All these things will be saved in the grid on our YouTube channel as well. So they will all be available to live stream, obviously for the rest of the afternoon, and then if you want to watch them on demand as well. So I'm just going to message Alex, see whether he is on his way. So we've got a few other sessions coming up this afternoon. We've got Gabe Cook, the ciderologist, is going to be doing a Facebook Live session. Cider, a journey to the four corners of the mouth, which sounds great. I'm just going to let Alex in. And that's at that's at 5:50 on Facebook. Go. So you should be joining momentarily. Technical issues, probably Wi-Fi. I think a few people have been having issues with that today. We should be able to get going relatively soon. I'm also going to be talking to Hannah Lamfit and Lo Marshall later on this evening, 6:30, on Instagram Live about diversity and inclusion behind the bar, and that's set to be a really interesting and informative seminar as well, so definitely tune in for that. I'm just going to double check with Alex. He is saying, just messaging him now. Oh, here we go. Perfect. Oh. Let me have another look. Perfect. Right, here we go. Hello.
Hiya, how are you?
We made it. We did it in the end.
Sorry for that. Tech is not my natural friend.
Trust me, I'm surprised I even managed to turn my phone on this morning. So we're doing good. I think we're doing all right. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm well, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, thanks. Looking forward to our chat. I've just done a sort of little intro for everyone so they kind of know what we're going to be talking about today. So I think the best thing to do really is if there are people on here who don't know much about your career or any of the other sort of endeavours that you've done, or about the wilderness, it'd be great if you could just give us a little bit of an intro to your career and what you guys are up to in Birmingham.
Yeah, of course. So I've had the restaurant for about 5 years now. It's been through lots of different versions, different incantations, as you'd expect. We're a small restaurant, 24 seats in the Drury Quarter in Birmingham, doing tasting menu-led dining. That's, so I guess it's a mishmash, but it's always been very much about Birmingham, very much about the city, and kind of using lots of international flavors. So that's us. Obviously, we're closed like so many others. We're a little bit more challenged with the guidelines because this is too small a restaurant to reopen with any.
Yeah, I was going to say that amount of covers, that's going to be difficult.
Any covers. So I think we've always had quite an active interest in the drinks program. We've always been lucky to work with some amazing bartenders, just as we've been lucky to work with amazing chefs. And I guess out of need. We kind of wanted to start to look at what we could do that would add value to the experience when we can reopen, but that would also kind of give us something to do, I guess, in the midst of
keep you busy.
So the gym's kind of that. We
Cool.
wanted to craft something with character that spoke to what we were doing from a food perspective, and the luxury of time, something which we don't always have when the restaurant's open. Obviously, that's our priority. That's the main commitment we have. So the gin for us was sort of, let's use some positivity in all the madness. Let's create something great.
Cool.
And to be honest, what I've enjoyed the most about it is it's taught us a lot about flavour that I don't think would have necessarily known or understood.
Oh, cool.
If it weren't for kind of going through the process. And I think, we're probably going to have it live at the end of July, hopefully, he says.
Cool. So how long has it actually been, like the process beginning to end, sort of inception, conception to obviously end of July? It seems like it's a relatively fast turnaround.
Yeah, I mean, we had initial meetings with this probably back in Feb. So we kind of, we knew we wanted to do it. We've worked with Jordan from West Midlands Distillery, who we met up and sort of, without an agenda really, just have a little chat about what he does, how he sees flavour, how he approaches it. And I think it really resonated because he shares a lot of similar ideas to us around how flavour should balance, around what we're looking for. And I liked him. Like, I know that sounds difficult, but like, I think sometimes this is much about enjoying the process and enjoying who you're working with.
Definitely.
And we kind of, most of April, I'm not going to dress it up, was kind of a lot about just processing what's going on. So April wasn't a great month for us kind of doing too much. We were very, very conservative around spending any money at all. We kind of were staring down the barrel of, we don't really have a plan. But I guess we probably started mid-April on the actual process. It's taken 3 different kind of test distillations to get something we're happy with. But in all honesty, I think what's been surprising is how fast we've been able to do so.
It's an amazing amount of time.
I feel like the gods have been slightly on our side. Because it really is luck of the draw. We started with one particular direction which didn't work because flavours were misbehaving, and when we started to move away from that, it kind of fell into place quite easily. We wanted to create a gin that was specifically had a martini in mind.
That's interesting. Good to know.
Fundamentally, I think one of the things that I really enjoy is I like the kind of, I guess, the flavour kind of clarity. I wanted it to just express itself as well as possible, and I think martini is kind of, there's nowhere to hide. But we also didn't want a gin that had the arrogance to kind of tell you what to do with it. We'll create it, but if you want to put that into a spritz style drink or a fruity drink or whatever, that's not a problem. I'm very happy to do so. It kind of came together quite organically.
Nice.
It was very
what's the sort of flavour profile of it? Just, you've mentioned a couple of times the way that the flavour would. What would you describe it as?
The 3 differentiating ingredients we've chosen to use are yuzu, which we've always used. That's not meant to be a pun, sounds it. We've always kind of used that as an acidity in a lot of cooking. And I think it's a common kind of chef thing. Like, every head chef I've been lucky enough to work with kind of seems to love it. I think it's just it's a really intense ingredient. So we've used yuzu. We wanted to use pepper to kind of provide a spiciness to bring some savoury notes. So we have used Sancho pepper, but we found that works best with telecherry. So Sancho and telecherry kind of finish off the spicing of it. And then I suppose the ingredient that came out of the testing process and came out of kind of exploring it was shiso leaf.
Lovely.
We'd normally use in the kitchen. And it was kind of just a shot in the dark. We started with tonka. We wanted to have tonka to bring sweetness, but tonka under distillation doesn't taste like tonka. It's a really weird one because all the ingredients you think you know how they taste, once they're distilled, they don't express in that way. Some bring flavour. Jordan was great at guiding us through that process. Some will bring flavour, but some will bring mouthfeel, or will bring,
Yeah.
they'll almost be kind of more technical ingredients, which won't necessarily deliver on, oh wow, that's that. But
Yeah.
Shiso distills with this beautiful kind of savory vegetal note. And what we really love is it has this kind of eucalyptus cooling element to it.
Cool.
It's a very smooth style of gin anyway, and we've gone to great efforts to make sure that even though it's 43%, it still drinks very smooth, even if you have it straight. Not necessarily recommended serve. I think drinking gin straight might be appropriate given current times, but not
It's a slippery slope.
Yeah. But yeah, the kind of this gentle kind of savory vegetable greenness throughout from that leaf, and the way it kind of cools on the palate, like really, really exciting and really enjoyable. And I think, let's be honest, gin's a really crowded marketplace. There's a lot of gins out there.
Yeah, I mean, one of my main questions was going to be, you know, why a gin specifically? Because the market is so crowded. But it sounds like the gin that you've made, it does sound a bit more sort of like a chef's gin. You know, these ingredients, there's the sorts of things that you see more on the menu in terms of the food side than potentially used as botanicals in a gin. But yeah, that's interesting that you chose to go down the gin category.
Well, do you know what? Like, it's not my spirit of choice.
Yeah.
So I think, you know, there's an element, you have to balance these things with kind of commercially as well. Whiskey would be my spirit of choice. We were very lucky that when we were working with James Bowker, who's over at Suntory now, we did a whiskey, which was cool. Really enjoyed doing that. That was a blended whiskey, so it was a little bit less involved. But gin felt like kind of quite an accessible summer drink, and we wanted something that kind of fitted with the time it's been released.
Yeah.
So that was Nate's asking.
Big.
Yeah, no, asking about Tongbeen. Yeah, well, do you know what? Like Nathan, I know. He worked with us for a while. Hello, mate. Yeah, we wanted the aromatic quality of Tonka, but it doesn't distill like that at all. It distills with bitter almond, which was interesting.
That's interesting. Yeah, you'd think Tonka would come through quite nicely, especially in a gin.
Yeah,
But
it just tastes really heavily of green almonds, which wasn't it.
Yeah. So, I mean, we kind of called this session the trials and tribulations of making your own gin, and you kind of mentioned that it's gone through a few different processes.
Yeah.
Is this going to be something that you're potentially thinking of rolling out, obviously based on the reception you get for this gin, which I don't think we've actually mentioned the name of it yet. You've got a name? Not yet?
It doesn't have a name.
Interesting. Okay, cool. Are you going to give it a name?
If we come up with anything good, potentially, but I think we wanted it to be quite functional. Like, it's literally it's a gin by the wilderness. You know, I don't want to make any claims that I'm a master distiller. I don't want to make any claims that this is something which, you know, is anything more than a cool thing which we've collaborated with people on.
Yeah.
So I think for me it was kind of, yeah, let's keep it all kind of quite understated. Let's just hopefully make it look cool, which you know, I think it does. It looks quite different. It's an interesting addition to a back bar, be that at home or kind of in industry.
Yeah.
And it's the whole thing's a process. I have no idea what the reception will be. I have no idea whether we're going to just do this one run and that'll be it, or whether we're going to kind of maintain this permanent collection. I don't know those things. I think that's kind of questions beyond my control. But nonetheless, it's, you know, I've enjoyed it. It's been something different. You know, it's been variety.
Yeah, definitely. I think as well, we've been talking quite a lot in Imbibe about people coming back to UK products after the last few months. Has been quite a big drive of people wanting to have homegrown drinks, especially. And obviously you guys are based in Birmingham. Is there any of that sort of character to it at all? Is there any identity to it that people would know it was from you guys, or are you going to be keeping it quite sort of quiet on that front, or have you injected some of that sort of personality into the gin itself and your own personality as well? Which
I think we wanted to do something that worked well with the food that we serve.
Yeah.
And whilst the food that we serve is kind of evolving quite a lot, you know, we've been doing a lot of development and kind of research and work whilst we've been closed. I guess, you know, I just wanted it to be, I suppose, a slightly more savoury gin, slightly more complex. But I don't think intrinsically there wasn't a way for us that we found. Maybe others would, but we didn't find a way to kind of make this intrinsically Birmingham that didn't feel like gimmick. We just wanted it to be delicious, which I know sounds a bit simple, but We just want it to be really delicious and enjoyable to drink. Stuff that we know will work well for signature serves at the restaurant. We'll know will work well as kind of potential food pairings. But we've tried not to overthink or over-engineer it, because again, like the whole point for me of the gin market is it is crowded, because there's a lot of gins that it feels perhaps are slightly more built on kind of gimmick or fad, which would have felt probably wrong for, because I've done that, like, when I was younger, like I've done things that were more gimmicky. I've done things that were kind of, I guess, more flash in the pan. And as you kind of grow up and evolve, I think you kind of get to that point where less is more.
Yeah. I think at the moment now that's what consumers want as well. They want a quality product that doesn't have 100 things in it. They want something that is on the surface quite simple, but delivers when, like you say, when it comes to taste as well. And in terms of, you sort of mentioned with food pairings, have you been working on that with Sonal at the behind the scenes, or have been working with a wider team in terms of the wilderness, sort of coming up with any set menus, or are you just going to see how it works potentially when you guys reopen?
To be honest, I think we've been playing with kind of broader techniques. That's what we've done with the time thus far, because we've been disparate, like so many of the restaurants. You've gone from seeing everybody every day to everyone been furloughed. It's a really drastic change of play, but we're lucky enough that from July, obviously with flexible furlough, we're able to start to bring back the team. But yeah, it will be a team effort. I think that will make for a much better product. More pallets are better than one. And I think for us, it's about the building blocks. The gin was something which we wanted to have in our larder, as it were, to use as an ingredient. And a lot of the work we've done thus far has actually been much more around, let's find the right suppliers, let's find the right product we want to work with when we come back. Hopefully now we're kind of coming back, we can start to shape that into kind of more finished dishes. And are you going to be using it at all in the food? Maybe.
Food side of things, potentially play around?
Maybe. I'm not convinced that if you're using kind of alcohol in food, there's a way to preserve its character, so it may not be the best fit. I think, I'm sure there are obviously exceptions, but would I want to use a spirit with kind of its own character and its own story alongside lots of other elements that potentially are going to overshadow that story? I'm not sure I would. I'm not sure I would.
Okay, cool. And you mentioned, obviously, you had a martini in mind when you were thinking of the signature serve for the gin. Is there anything else on the menu that you've had planned in terms of sort of development, or are you kind of waiting until it comes out in July and maybe letting some people play around with it and see what they come back to you with potentially?
Yeah, I think that's it. Now we've got the liquid, we can start to kind of develop and play. I think we've preserved some things that we'd have missed, because obviously restaurants and bars alike have kind of skipped a season. So we've tried to preserve a little bit so we can kind of revisit the times which we lost. But yeah, we've tried to not rush it, because I kind of feel like there's something in that. I feel like a lot of the mistakes I've made as we've gone through, it's too easy to rush stuff. There's always pressure, there's invariably financial pressure, and that can be really intense, and it can put you in situations where you have to make a choice that's not intrinsically what feels right. You don't get to live with these choices. I'm just really, really enjoying the opportunity to kind of to sit with things, even just with all the tastings. We'll do 2 tastings. We'll do a tasting when it's ready, but we'll then kind of come back to it and taste it, a week later and just see how we feel then. Which is something I'd like to preserve as we kind of reopen, but whether that's a luxury that this industry will afford, I'm not sure just yet.
Exactly. And do you have any tips for anyone who might be thinking of potentially embarking on something like this themselves? Anything that you learn, say like, don't do it, don't do that, do this, make sure you do that. Just little things that you hadn't even thought of when you embarked on it that might help other people.
I think it's just taking it kind of in a really logical way. We did market research both on price, flavour, all the rest of it before we started. We found someone we really wanted to work with. and I mean, I can vouch for Jordan at Westminster Distillery. He's great, and very pragmatic with how he works as well. And
Yeah.
you know, what's great is he brings creativity to it, but he's also